Good morning. I don't want to get out of bed because I slept like a rock. Time to get the bear bag down, not a PCT hang. Good morning, coffee. Coffee time and tea time. It's through the trees, but man, it is pink and purple. So we've been 100 miles on trail now, and my feet are in relatively good shape. And these guys, the Injinjis, been a game changer. Putting them on is like a little massage for all your toes. Apparently they help proprioception, and they totally got rid of my blisters. That part was obvious. The proprioception, a little more interesting. Really helped my bunion, surprisingly. You wouldn't think socks would help something so structurally wrong. And they're wool, so I just wear them day after day, and I wash them. And even better, this little tag that they have that says Injinji is actually a hook, so you can hang your socks up easily and not lose them. I bought these socks for $14, which, you know, is kind of the price of a nice pair of socks in Hot Springs. And after I bought them, I stopped carrying all my other socks, and I literally wear one pair of socks. We're talking about gear. We have my Topo shoes, which are really comfortable. I have just barely a few blisters. Can't say enough as far as the way they fit and work, and I'm even wearing the waterproof ones, which I don't normally wear waterproof shoes, but it's kind of working for me in this cold spring. However, yet again, the soles are showing signs of trying to fall off. This is 100 miles in. They started showing signs like 60, 70 miles in. Wore a pair last year from Springer, and I was likewise very happy with them, even happier after I put on the toe socks. So the section was 350 miles long, plus I had hiked maybe another 50 miles on them, and by the end of the section I was having to use duct tape several times a day to hold them together. I'm okay with shoes that fall apart eventually. I'm okay with replacing pairs of shoes on the AT. I'm not okay with 11 pairs of shoes, which if your shoes fall apart after 200 miles, the trail is 2,200 miles long, so that would be 11 pairs of shoes. It was so nice not to have to get to camp and just think about survival and get up and move in order to get the blood moving. You know, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Freezing to death takes over hunger and comfort. We're getting on the trail. It's 8:10, but we won't have to be stopping to reconfigure and have a whole breakfast in like an hour, so that's a win. Something that I can't identify right now, but it's pretty in the sunshine. Turns out we made a good decision to backtrack from the shelter for a short distance because we met somebody at 7 a.m. who is leaving the shelter and all bundled up because apparently the bugs there were murderous. And we got the view for bonus. It's 3.6 miles to water, which before I was a thru hiker would have made me really nervous. But now I'm well fed, I have had coffee, I feel good, and it's mostly downhill, so I'm pretty comfortable with it. We're headed west, which feels good after a long section yesterday of going north. It was a big loop, Fork Mountain, up Cove Mountain, but we went north for about 5 miles. Now I can feel the wind in my face, so that tells me we're finally going west. We're gonna go west for another 5 before we turn and go truly south. I'm committed to following the trail wherever it goes, but somehow it still feels like backtracking when we're headed north as a Sobo. Well, that looks like the Blue Ridge to me. I mean, it really can't be anything else. After we finish climbing this little hill, which is just above Buchanan, we will be headed down to Bear Wallow Gap to get some water. I strongly suspect Bear Wallow Gap is on the Blue Ridge. And then we are going to parallel very close to the Blue Ridge for about all of today's hike. You know how you asked me way back there if that was the top of the hill? Yeah. It wasn't. Is that the top of the hill? I think so. Just listening to some southern bird sounds. There's some Carolina chickadees. There was a black and white warbler. And of course, the ubiquitous towhee. A birding hotspot. I don't see any. But I hear Carolina chickadee. This one's for Sean. I don't know if that's bear poop, but he was disappointed I didn't show the bear poop the other day, so there you go. It has a lot of fur in it, so maybe it's a carnivore instead. We've got mountains. Mountains. We've got mountains, mountains, and more mountains. I think we came from a little bit back there, so I don't think those are our mountains. I was wrong. We came from somewhere just on the backside of this closer ridge. That was down Jennings Creek, that really awful climb with all the water. And then way out there, we came around. That's when we were going north. And I think way back there, those mountains in the distance, that might be like Spy Rock or Cold Mountain, but somewhere in that vicinity, yeah. Man, am I happy to see this junction. Not a bad climb, but first climb of the morning is always shock to the system. So it's nice to get to a milestone. It's a blue-headed vireo. I've been practicing distinguishing it from the red-eyed vireo. I haven't seen the red-eyed vireo much, but I've heard it constantly, especially in Massachusetts. It never shuts up all day long, whereas most birds tend to sing morning and evening. And the red-eyed vireo asks a question and answers the question. Asks a question, what do you think? Do you think? I don't think. Do you think? I don't think. Do you think? What do you think? Do you want a sheepburger? I don't want a sheepburger. Whereas the blue-eyed vireo, a little less ADHD and more makes statements with occasional questions, but otherwise sounds quite similar. Nothing like desire to make you feel grateful. Looks like we made it. Oh yeah. And past the 6 miles without water with a real hill in the middle. Good morning. Getting better by the minute. There's Turtle Toe getting water. Great water, even got a pipe. Turns out this is a pretty dry section still. So we just had water, we're feeling good, and I'm carrying too much water. But there aren't too many hills. Next real water that's not significantly off the trail is almost 10 miles. Really went through here. Thank God we don't have to crawl over and under these. I'm tired enough without doing that. Thanks so much, trail maintainers. We got fresh cuts and more fresh cuts and more. This was a real pickup sticks situation. Just some whole trees down. Probably Helene, but who knows? There are a lot of storms. Where are we going next?
This is Mills Gap. Mills Gap Overlook, and the next is Peaks of Otter Overlook.
Pizza? Pizza?
Peaks of Otter.
Oh, we just met these ladies on the trail that are going to look at a vernal pool. You look like you have a lightsaber.
Onward.
Except it's the wrong way. Crossing the Blue Ridge. Not many cars around. Gorgeous view. Look at those layers. We got the black and yellow, and then the brown of the high hills, and then the greening, and then the verdant green of the valley, and then the blue in the background, and then the grayish sky, and then blue sky above. Maybe the Peaks of Otter. We're not sure. Oh, information. We're gonna go for that. Peaks of Otter.
That must be Sharp Top.
I have to take a picture of this part because I've been wondering this for a while. No one knows for sure why the area is called the Peaks of Otter. The Appalachian Trail, a continuous marked footpath over 2,000 miles in length from Mount Katahdin in central Maine to Springer Mountain in northern Georgia. And then we have Bear Wallow Gap where we got water, and Boblett's Gap 0.86 where we are not going because it's 0.25 off trail, and that's way too far. Full summer mode engaged. Lots of breaks, Gatorade, Lots of breaks lying on your pad, on your back with your feet up, and the umbrella. It's a funny thing being in the woods and getting a sunburn, but the trees just don't have any leaves, so we got the umbrella. This is what we got for temperature. Granted, it is in the sun, but so am I. I'm really grinding to a halt here. Turtletoe and I have very different reactions to heat. It feels very comfortable to her, and it just is like a knockdown punch to me. Granted, it's not full summer heat, but not a lot of experience with heat so far, so I'm gonna give it bonus suffering for that. I think it's just by our nature, but oh geez. But also the fact that I live in New Hampshire, enjoy that climate, and she lives in New Jersey and pretty much enjoys that climate, probably only makes the difference worse. It's getting really hazy. I wonder if there's gonna be a storm. Just walking right below the road here, that would be Blue Ridge Parkway, which is pretty much following our path, or we're following its path. I guess it's good there's a retaining wall here. Otherwise there probably wouldn't be a trail. Maybe it'll be cooler next to the wall. Oh, there's a nice little breeze. Ah, steep. Steep, steep, steep. Meet me at the trash can. It's a very nice view for a trash can. Trash can number 4. How now, brown cow? We got just views for days. Mountains beyond mountains, beyond mountains. Probably headed for those. And open brushy trail that's been cut so that the Blue Ridge Parkway has views. I totally appreciate views, but hate walking through the hot scrub. Scrub is making a pretty valiant effort to take over here. It's almost due for a cutting. And got these weird things. Maybe it's sumac, I'm not really sure. I'm sure I'd recognize it if it was actually leafed out, but it's just weird right now. We've got vetch, bees, forget-me-nots. I need a moment of appreciation. 1 for my lovely husband, and 2 for winter, which is my favorite time to cuddle with my snuggly husband. I know I've been complaining nonstop about the cold, but I'm just gonna go for it and complain about the heat. I don't do well in heat. It makes me really grumpy. It makes me really slow, and my feet are hurting today. I have a bunion, a blister on my little toe, and a really unstable ankle. So just challenges, different challenges every day. And this section is quite challenging because on the warmest day we've had, it's super bakey, open sun. And there was a 6-mile section with no water and essentially a 10-mile section with no water immediately following it, with a really nice water source in between. But that's carrying a lot of water. And now I've run out, and just trying to maintain what I've got and make it another 4 miles to the next water source. Looks like some kind of storm's out there in the distance. I think that's looking towards the ocean. Fully in Jesus country here. They want us to cross here?
I would think this could be a curve.
Dead Man's Curve. I made it. Snack time. Before last hill.
You want some of this?
Yeah, maybe, but what I really want is some of those gummy worms. We got emergency supplies. This is the stop and chat portion of the day. The good thing is I'm not feeling nearly as miserable. The bad thing is we're still not at camp. It's a funny thing when you stop to chat, you don't actually get any further down the trail. We're kind of stopping and talking to everyone we see because it's kind of the right amount of people, but soon there will be bubble people. Bubble people. Second peak, which is after the last peak. Well, thank God. Ooh. We're changing maintenance sections here, thanks to Roanoke for redoing the trail, and thanks to Natural Bridge. We hiked their whole section now. It was actually really fantastically maintained. Rolling in. It's all downhill. We still have like, I don't know, 2.5 miles to go. The stopping and chatting did help, but like I said, we still have 2.5 miles to go. Not super bad trail for a cruise in. It's on a nice bench trail, not too wide. It does have a drop off, which is not too steep, although I'm sure you could hurt yourself if you really tried. And the actual trail surface is rather nice. If you're wondering what kind of mileages we're doing, I'm not calculating it precisely from the little clues we give about where we're staying and whatnot. We're going probably 14 miles today, but the last two, I think we went 12, certainly done some 10s. I don't think we've done anything under 10. We might have done a shorter day the first day, but we did have that bear bag snafu that occupied us for a lot of the morning. I think we went 8 miles the day we left Stanimals at noon or so, averaging out, including the 0 days, which I always do because I consider once you're on the hike, you're on the hike, but I'm not including our first day where we got to the trailhead at 3:30 or something and just hiked up 3 miles and got into the woods. We had done a lot else that day. So not including that, we're averaging about 11 miles a day, which is a little over my conservative average of 10 miles a day. When I calculate what I think we'll be able to do for these trips, I always do 10 miles a day because, first of all, it's easy math. Second of all, it's conservative, and it's always nice to exceed expectations instead of be under pressure because you can't quite get there. And there's always something on the trail, some kind of challenge, cold, hot, crazy rocks, medical issues, personality issues, whatever. The climbing deserves a mention. Climbing averages out maybe 3,000 a day, 2,500, maybe a little less if you're lucky, but sometimes more than 3,000. On the pre-stay, we did 5. That's a lot. We got the leaves, we got the birds, and the train horns in the distance. There it is. It's pretty distant though. These are the sounds that will bring back this hike for me. So I literally just got an unexpected gift, which was that Turtle Toe turned to me as we passed this little trailside campsite and said, "We're camping here." She's never that decisive. I must be really dehydrated and just going slower and slower. I am really dehydrated. Not only are we camping here, but she ran down the trail another 0.2 or 0.3 to a spring, which might not be great, so she might have to go another 0.2. And then she's coming back with all the water. And I guess we'll have to pay for it later, but it probably won't be a big payment. So we're a mile behind where we thought we'd be, but we're also, you know, taking care of ourselves and trying to have a good evening. Aside from being very relaxing, this is a good thing to do when you're camping somewhere because that tree there is different than all the rest. I can't tell from my angle if it's hanging over this campsite, but I'll check it out when I get vertical. This is a giant pot of risotto. We already had pre-dinner snacks, but I think we'll be okay. Severe thunderstorm alert over in Baltimore and Washington, which I think is directly behind me. But that's the sun setting in the western sky.